Hello, hello. How's it going? I was having some technical difficulties here with the Facebook Live. I didn't realize it looks like, and some of you may know better, it looks like I'm not able to um, add my friend Chris to the live stream. So I don't know if they're not letting people do joint live streams anymore, or you got to go through a third party now. Not quite sure, but yeah, looks like that is the case. So, um, anyways, I'm just gonna give you guys some tips and some thoughts, and you're more than welcome to interact and we can have a convo here. I'm really not planning on being on here too long, but if you guys want to engage and have a convo, I'm willing to stay on here longer. But I just really want to give you guys 5 key tips that's going to help you to stay mentally and emotionally strong during any time, really, but as we're going through this pandemic and crisis right now, it's going to be really valuable for you. Um, so I'm just going to hop right into it. I'm going to give you guys 5 tips. Where's my camera? 5 tips on how to stay mentally strong during this pandemic. So really, I guess most of you are going to know me because I'm sharing this out on my personal page. But go ahead, like it, share it out to people that you think could use it during this time of social distancing. Maybe this is some way that we can actually become closer, even though we're distancing ourselves socially right now. But um, so basically, I'm gonna give you guys 5 tips on how to stay mentally strong during this time. Um, I am Quentin McCain, also known as Coach Q. I'm a master mindset coach, #1 best-selling author, and international speaker. I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to personal development and personal change and how to help people with things like anxiety, breaking through mental barriers, stress, and anything that has to do with personal breakthrough. And I absolutely love it. It's my passion, and I'm constantly learning and growing myself in this realm. I've studied a number of things from NLP. I'm a master NLP coach, and that's neuro-linguistic programming. I've studied cognitive behavioral therapy, emotional intelligence, life coaching, and a number of other things. I'm really always looking for things that can help people with lasting change. So I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing I want to talk to you about out of my 5 things for staying mentally strong is focus. And what I mean by that is if you follow my videos, focus is super important. There's a saying that goes, what you focus on expands, meaning that if you focus on all of the bad things, all of the negative, if you focus on all of the media right now about how many deaths are happening, how much sickness is going on, how the increase of all of the diagnoses are going. If you focus on that, that's all you're going to see. You're just going to keep seeing that because that's what you're focusing on. So, and it's not to say that those things aren't important. Those things are important, and it's fine to know about those things. But you don't want to necessarily put all of your focus there because then you're not able to focus on other things. And that's a way to keep yourself stressed and with that narrow vision of just thinking about sickness, disaster, is it the end of the world, all of these different things. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is shift your focus. Because, like, for example, me, I don't even really watch the news. I know some people are religious with watching the news and, checking up on every single second update on what's going on. And that's just not me. I figure if it's important enough, it's going to get to me anyway, because there's social media, there's friends, there's family. Somebody's going to tell me, which is fine, and I'll get the news that way. But I'm not going to sit and focus on every single detail of what's going on of every minute, because that's just not going to be beneficial for me. It's going to keep me in a state of stress, and when you're in a state of stress, and that's the focus, what are you going to get more of? You're going to get more stress, right? So what you focus on expands. So I challenge you to start focusing on things that are actually going to be beneficial or helpful. And during these times, if you do want to be helpful, let that be the focus, is being helpful, contributing, finding a way to help people with resources, things like that, but not necessarily the death toll, how many people have been diagnosed in each state, and the shutdowns and the quarantine. Because when we focus on that, that's what's going to expand, and you're going to see more and more of that as you focus on that thing. So the first one is focus, to shift your focus. Um, Number two on here is going to be gratitude, and that's a word that we throw around all the time. Gratitude, be grateful, be grateful. And some people say it's easier said than done. However, it kind of leads into the first one, which was focus. So, number two being gratitude. Imagine focusing on what you're grateful for. Imagine focusing on gratitude. If you're focusing on what you're grateful for, you're not going to have room to focus on all the other stress inducing things going on. When's the last time you just woke up and were like, you know what? I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I have my health. I'm grateful for my family and connections that I can still connect with through beautiful things like this, like Facebook Live, Zoom, phone calls, text. You're still able, although you're distanced maybe physically, you're still able to be grateful for some things, like the people in your life, the air that we're breathing. You can still be grateful that you have food, or that you can even go to the store, even though some things might not be on the shelves right now. But being grateful is always going to be on your side. Just being grateful for the things that you have, the things that you're expecting to get in the future, the things that you've had, past, present, future. I can tell you right now, I'm grateful to have a platform where I can get on here and share my expertise and the things that I've been studying for the past 10 years with everybody else. I love this, and I'm grateful for everyone that's listening, everyone that's going to like and share this. I'm grateful for you all, because this is how we make our impact. I might not be able to go out there and do speeches right now and things like that, and gather big groups or do workshops at the moment, because I'm just like you guys. I've been affected as well. I think most, if not all, of my not all, most of my speaking engagements that I've had on the calendar have been postponed in some way or another. Some of them have turned into virtual meetings, so I've been affected as well. And you know what? We're all in this together, but I'm grateful that we're in an age where we have technology where I can still get on here and share with every one of you. Okay. So just being grateful. This is what I challenge you to, get a piece of paper when you have a moment and just write down every single day 5 things that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? And I'd maybe even do it, before you go to bed or something like that, and say, what could I be grateful for that happened today? And that's always a good thing. Um, so my third thing, hey, how's it going, Jeff? Good guy right there. So the third thing that I'm going to mention on here is kind of from the realm of NLP, and that's your mental images. And that might sound funny, but it's a real thing. So what I want to tell you is that every time we're scared of something, we're stressed, or even happy about something, it's not necessarily the thing in itself. But what it is, us being humans, we filter everything through our 5 senses, right? So it's most likely going to be the images in your head that you're creating because of the information you receive. So when we're hearing about, all of the coronavirus, um, people catching the coronavirus, right? You're hearing about so many people catching it, so many people dying in all these countries, and there's being like lockdowns and self-distancing, quarantine. It's not that in itself that is freaking a lot of people out. It's the images that they're creating in their minds about what they're hearing. So when they're hearing self-quarantine, lockdown, who knows? They could be, for example, creating images of, being on lockdown for months and months and months, or a year, or maybe things are never going to go back the same. Those are the images that people are creating, and the thoughts that are coming up for people that intensify the fear and intensify the stress. So pay attention to the images that come up for you when you feel yourself getting stressed, when you feel yourself getting anxious. And at first, if you're not used to thinking in that way, it could be a little hard because some of these images pop up, in milliseconds, and you don't pay attention. But if you settle yourself and really think about, like, um, what images are popping up in my head when I think about this, because it has to be an image or a sound or go through one of your five senses in order to make you react. So you hear something and you feel something, but I guarantee you there was a split image that popped in your head of um, you being sick or you getting somebody else sick that you love, and that freaked you out and it made you feel even more so. Let's see, Jeff said, when people have time to think in their own heads, it's usually in a negative form. That's very true, Jeff. It's typically in a negative form, and unless you've started the habit of training yourself to think in a more positive form, or you start switching those negative thoughts as soon as they pop in, like, no, that's not it, let's start thinking about this, let's start thinking about this, and really starting to um, you know make those neuronal connections a habit in the positive form. So that's what I want to tell you about there. That's number three. Think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about, those mental images that pop in your head whenever you hear a story, whenever you hear a new statistic. What are those images, and are they supporting you or not? Like Jeff said, they're typically negative. So that's something to think about. The fourth one I want to talk to you about is staying present. Staying present. I don't know the exact quote. I should have looked it up. But there's a quote, and the gist of it is, when you worry about something that hasn't happened yet, and it does happen, that means that you suffered twice. Think about that. You worry about something, and then it does happen, that thing you worried about, you suffered twice. But if that thing just happens, but you didn't worry about it, you only suffered once, you know? So that's something to think about. When you stay in the present, you can't suffer from the past or things from the future, because usually those are the things that get us the most. You're thinking about the past and what could have been, or what happened, or the good old days, or all the trauma that happened before. That's anxiety inducing usually when you're thinking about problems and issues from the past and you're bringing them into today. When you're thinking about the future and what's going to be bad and terrible, and oh, it's going to be so horrible from here on out. When you're thinking about the future, that's depression inducing typically. So focusing on bad things in the past, anxiety inducing. Focusing on bad things in the future, depression inducing. When you stay in the present, you're usually good. If you, right at this very moment, if you were to sit and think to yourself, take a deep breath, and you're like, I sit and think to myself without thinking about the past and without thinking about the future, am I okay? Am I good right now in this very moment? Think about it. Am I good right now in this very moment? And I'm not even talking about, not even thinking 5 minutes from now, 15 minutes now, a day or two, a week from now, when you have to pay this bill and you don't know how it's going to be. No, in this very exact moment, are you okay? And anytime you ask yourself that, most of the time, 99% of the time, it's going to be yes, unless you're currently, in debilitating, dang, I can't even talk, debilitating pain. Unless you're in debilitating pain, or, you're on your deathbed, or something horrible of that nature, Lord forbid, the answer is typically going to be, you're fine. I'm fine in this very moment. I'm fine. So that's why it's important to stay grounded, practice things like mindfulness, like, look out your window and admire something, admire a tree, some birds, nature, your dog or cat, if you have animals. Like, have you ever just sat and just been in the moment? You're good. Yep. So that's number four, stay present. So far, the steps have been, number one is focus. What you focus on expands. So you focus on negative, you're going to see more and more negative because of, in your brain, in our biology, we have something called the reticular activating system, which its job is to delete everything else except for what you're focused on. You've probably heard when people talk about when you're ready to buy a new car and you know the color, you know the type, you hardly ever even see those cars. But then when you're like, oh no, that's the car I want, what do? You start seeing those cars everywhere. Were they not there in the beginning? Oh, they were there. You just weren't focused on them. Your reticular activating system said, oh, you want a white Charger? You want a white, Bentley, whatever. You're going to start seeing those. You're going to start seeing them all over. That's the reticular activating system. So the same thing goes with, you start focusing on negative, you're going to get more and more negative because that's what your brain is going to zone in on and be like, all right, you want negative? Let's find it. So number one was focus. Number two is gratitude, practicing what you're grateful for now, not what you don't want. Don't focus on what you don't want, only what you do want and what you do have. Be grateful in the moment. Be grateful right now. What's up, Merle? Number three, your mind images. What are the pictures that you're conjuring up in your head when you hear these stories, when you think about things? That's why I surround myself with positive people. To be honest, like, I don't like all the chain messages and all this stuff about, oh, the coronavirus, this, that. That's another thing. Like, there's facts and then there's social media, like people come up with all kinds of stuff. Don't get into it, guys. If you really want to know, go to the source, go to, like the CDC website or something, go to the source so you can know the facts. Don't listen to all these chain messages on Facebook and your best friend who's a Facebook virus expert, go to the source. So yeah, watch your mind images. That's the most important thing we have. Take care of this. Watch those images in your head and what they're conjuring up, because those images are creating those emotions that you're having. So if you're feeling down and sad and all this and that, think about the images that are being created in your head and what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you focusing on? The fourth one is staying present. So staying present in the moment, because we can't typically suffer when we're in the present. It's only when we're thinking about negative things in the past or what could be negative coming up in the future. But when you're in the present, you're good, you're safe. So stay in the present. Things like mindfulness, things like meditation are good for staying present and grounded. And then the last one I have is a big one: faith over fear. Fear can be debilitating. Fear can crumble us. Fear can take over your mind just like a virus, right? And I actually did a video recently on thought viruses. Thought viruses, in my opinion, are even more dangerous than the coronavirus, because just like any virus, a thought cannot survive on its own. It needs a host. So when you let negative thoughts just culture and grow inside of you, it spreads and it takes over everything. So faith over fear. Faith is one of the major things that can trump fear, and I don't know what any of you all's religious beliefs are, but it's always a good thing to believe in something bigger than yourself, because when we don't have anything else, we have faith that, guess what, things are going to get better. I have a positive mindset and I know for a fact that this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. So that's right. Faith over fear. So what is it that you believe in? What is it that you aspire to do after this? Because this is going to end at some point, folks. It's going to end. It's not going to go on forever, right? You're going to have to get back to your normal life, and things may be different in some ways, but that's okay. We are resilient and we're going to move forward no matter what. Nothing can stop us. And this is one of the things that I teach people how to do, that I coach and that I train, and that when I go speak for companies, is how to have an unstoppable mindset. Because this, no matter what, is the most important thing you have. How's it going, Arthur? Arthur is a really good guy, very knowledgeable. I love chatting with him as well. And yeah, look, he said you have to stay in the present with laser-like focus on the task at hand, eating nutrient-dense meals, moderate exercise, rest, staying in contact with one's social/accountability circle, Yep. Fear and anxiety and depression can only reside in hosts who welcome them. Yes, indeed. Keeping the focus on the four, aforementioned, no pun intended. All right. Breaks the shackles of those culprits. Yes, indeed. Fully agree. Fully agree. So those are them, folks. Number one is focus. Number two, gratitude. Number three, your mental images. Take care of those. What are you thinking about? What are those pictures that are popping up in your head? Number four, staying in the present moment. And number five, faith over fear. Following those five things, focusing on those five things, will help you to stay mentally strong through this pandemic. Feel welcome to message me. Feel welcome to start a dialogue in the comments here, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. And also, if there's any other topics or things that you want me to get into deeper or more specifically, let me know, and I'd be glad to do a video on it. Yep, reach out to me, guys. Website is quintonmccain.com, or reach out to me on social media at Coach Q McCain. And let's end mediocrity, guys. Let's get it.